care about what that means. We're just gonna keep eating and eating.
Okay, so they just released episodes 5 and 6 of the new Daredevil show. And I'm really glad they released 2 episodes because episode 5 is... We'll get there, but long story short, episode 5 is... it's not even bad. It just feels like filler. It's not even like offensive or anything. It doesn't do anything wrong per se. It's just there's not really anything that happens, and nothing in it is even referenced after the episode's over, seemingly, except like one line. So it sounds weird, but honestly, you could probably skip it. um, it's essentially about a bank robbery, right? And Matt is withdrawing money and trying to get a loan at the time. And the person who he tries to get a loan from is Kamala Khan's dad from Ms. Marvel. I forget his first name, but he's very nice. I liked him in that show well enough, and so it was kind of fun and cheeky to see him here. I do think it's weird he doesn't really question, like, whether or not Matt's like a superhero. He's like, how do you do this? But he doesn't infer that maybe he's Daredevil or something. It's kind of funny. Oh, I just realized I didn't even have this on. Sorry. I look like shit. I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah, there's really not much to talk about with that one. I know it sounds silly, like we've only been recording for like a minute, but like there's not much to really say. It's cool. You know, the fight scenes are neat. It's essentially Matt having to defuse a situation without being able to be Daredevil because they see him, you know, so he doesn't want to give his identity out. So like that is compelling. It's essentially like 4 or 5 bank robbers come in while he's doing that, threaten a bunch of people, and Matt, of course, pulls the "oh, I'm blind, I don't know what's going on" card because he always does. And yeah, it. So basically, it's about him and Kamala Khan's dad, kind of trying to find a peaceful resolution to the bank being robbed, I guess, which is cool. You know, it's neat, but like I said, there's not really much that happens in it. The good guys win the day. I'm kind of racking my brain, having trouble thinking of what even happens in it because episode 5 is not the cool one. Episode 6 is the real cool one. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. But what happens in it? The lead guy is kind of neat. Like the lead bank robber guy, this Irishman is kind of neat. He seems compelling, but I don't really know what's going to happen to him. Oh, okay. So as soon as the bank is thwarted, because essentially what Matt does is he kills time enough that they're going to barge in, and times it based on like him hearing when they're going to arrive, and you find out just before that they're trying to rob the bank that doesn't have money. This isn't a bank that has like a ton of money, like on site anyway. This is a bank that has safety deposit boxes, and so they're going in there to get this one specific diamond, right, that is in this one particular safety deposit box. Now, I have a bit of a problem with this because they make it explicitly clear that you can only open these safety deposit boxes with 2 keys. One from the bank manager, which is Kamala Khan's dad. I forget his name, I'm sorry. And one of your own key, your key, right? And one of the people in there just like one of the bank robbers just has the key, and so I can't help but like they had it going in, right? So I can't help but wonder, why'd you need to rob the bank? You could just go withdraw it, you know? Like it just seems like a lot of work for nothing. It's almost as if this whole episode was one of the ones from the previous regime. Not regime, but like before like the solid reboot and stuff, because we know that they kept some of that footage and a lot of stuff like that, like casts and things like that. They can only do so much with the time and money that they had, right? And as we're getting further into the season, aside from this episode, it's starting to feel like the tone is shifting. Like this is the part where the new creative team got to like really rewrite everything, right? And that's kind of what it feels like going into episode 6, because episode 6 is a banger. Oh shit. Okay, so much happens in this. How do I even begin? So we get a lot of. If I could describe this episode in one word, it's about pushing, right? It's about pushing both. Excuse me. It's about pushing both Fisk and Matt to their limits as far as like becoming who they're meant to be, kind of thing. And I would say this is the episode that is the snap, I'm gonna call it, because the whole season's really been about that. It's about certain things happening here and there that's just pushing Matt more and more and more to being Daredevil, and the bureaucracy, right, of Kingpin's in-house politics and stuff that he has to go through, all the red tape and things, pushing him to be more and more like Kingpin as the season went on, right? And I think that's really compelling, especially here, because with Kingpin, we'll address Kingpin real quick, because Daredevil's the real star of this episode, I think. We finally get a hallway fight scene, boys. We'll get to that. But no. So with Kingpin, it's interesting because he seems to be giving in more to his darker urges as time goes on, right? And so when he hears about this serial killer named Muse, who uses his victims' bodies in like a grotesque way, he like seems to gouge out their eyes, which is fucked up. And he uses like their blood as like paint for his like murals that he paints on like the walls and stuff. You know, like graffiti artist type thing. And they even address that blood is in the paint. So like the cool looking paintings that you see throughout this show, they have blood in them. I already knew that because I read the comic book that Muse is from, but like that's what it's about essentially. And it's quite cool. So when he hears this, Kingpin, in typical fashion, uses this as a way to assemble an anti-vigilante task force, where their first goal is to go after Muse, but after that they're going to be against vigilantes, right? And I think that's going to permeate throughout the season and next season, which they're already filming now, so that'll be a big deal. And what's interesting is he uses cops that are known for like pushing the law and like doctoring police reports and killing people straight up and doing all this fucked up shit, including the cops earlier who beat up Matt in like episode 2, or tried to beat him up, didn't work. He used them too, so that was interesting. Or that one guy, I mean, I should say. And several other dirty cops, essentially. It's essentially made of dirty cops, okay? Like, that's the whole task force, is dirty cops. And, like, the ones with the, like, Punisher tattoos and stuff. So that's a cool idea. I like that he's using a problem to gain more power. That's just how Fisk is. That's how his brain works. And so, yeah, that's pretty cool. There's also a dinner that happens right after. Sorry, excuse me. There's a dinner that happens right after where all these, like, I guess you would call them politicians, are here to like donate money, you know, like a benefit, right? It's a benefit type thing. And he uses this chance to talk to them, and almost every single one of them talks to him in a way that makes him really angry. Like, they basically say, like, look, you can say what you want, but we know how your business was really built, kind of thing. And it's not like they're wrong. Like, I'm kind of surprised it got this far. This man's a felon. He shouldn't be mayor. What the fuck? This man so blatantly has broken rules. Like, he got caught up with, like, kidnapping scandals and all this other crazy shit. And, no, so what happened here is these people keep talking to him, and they keep pushing him, right? especially this one blonde lady who says straight up that she won't support him basically no matter what, and then kind of leaves, right? And I think this pushes Fisk over the edge a bit, which I like. I like when that happens. And it leads him to eventually, like I said, form the task force, which he already did, but he also goes down in the basement where Adam is still encaged and has this long speech about what it's like to attack men that are bigger than you, and says that a weapon is the great equalizer. And he says, Vanessa would want me to let you go, but that's difficult for me. And he throws the guy an axe and lets him out of his cage, and they fight. And the guy loses, unfortunately. And, yeah, so Fisk beats the absolute shit out of him. You think he kills him, actually, at first, but that's not really what happens, I don't think. And because you see like his chest rising a bit, rising and falling when he's on the ground at the end of it. Um, I like how the shot was kind of framed where you see the painting, the Rabbit in a Snowstorm painting with blood on it in the background. So you can kind of like just get the feeling that he's like giving into his dark urges again. And yeah, Fisk's bit in this episode was very cool, but not as cool as what happened with Matt. Okay, so this whole series so far has this new series, I mean, has been about pushing Matt, right? To a degree where he is sorry. To a degree where he can't wait anymore to be Daredevil, right? He feels like part of himself is missing. He's kind of like white knuckling it the whole time, and that's kind of the vibe you get, which I think is partially reshoots. If I'm being honest, I think season 2 will be far more consistent in that regard, because here in season 1 it kind of feels like two people's visions kind of meshed together a little bit, but as the show has gone on, it seems like they have more and more control and say over what happens, right? I think like the first 2 episodes are probably from the previous regime a bit, at least mostly. And, but anyway, no, another talk. So long story short, this whole season has been about pushing Matt. And in this episode, I forget her name, the kid, the Ayla kid, fuck, I forget her name, but she's cool. I like her. It's just they've only said her name a couple times. It's Hector Ayla, White Tiger's kid, right? Comes in basically begging to talk to Matt, and when Matt sits down with her, what she says is essentially that my uncle was onto something, and he says, "What are you talking about?" And she says, "All these people have been going missing," which they have addressed since like early in the show, but they weren't like very clear as to what that means, and so like who it is and stuff. We knew from the trailers that it was Muse, but we hadn't seen him yet. This is the first episode where he actually shows up. So, aside from like brief appearances. Excuse me. So what happens here is Matt hears that like 60 people have been kidnapped. Later on he hears that because after the kid leaves, the kid goes missing and you don't see her again. And then the Matt's cop friend, I forget his name too. Some of these supporting characters are kind of mid. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really like his lawyer friend who he runs the firm with because I've barely seen her talk, and I don't really like his cop friend either because I don't know anything about him. I don't even remember his name very well. I've seen more of Hector Ayala's little niece than I have him. It's strange. It feels like they carried over side characters from the previous regime of this show, but none of them really feel like they work. Doesn't matter. Anyway, point is, the cop friend tells Matt at one point that this serial killer has killed like 60 people at least, probably. And Matt's just sitting there kind of white knuckling it, like, really now, kind of vibe. And he begs Matt. He says, "Let the police handle this one. Let them do their jobs, please." And Matt just kind of nods and doesn't say anything. And he seems like he's gonna commit to that. until later, where he's sitting on his couch late at night and he gets a phone call from the Ayala girl's mom, and she says, "Where is she? Have you seen her?" And he says, "No, I haven't seen her till earlier today." And she said, "Well, the last place we saw her was your firm, and I need to know where she is." She's not like blaming Matt, but she doesn't know where she is, and she's freaking out. And Matt, of course, gets furious when he hears this because like he has a particular protective nature towards children, which I think is great, because they're helpless uh, to a degree. Like what it's one of those like you like to pick on kids, huh? Well, good luck with that on me, kind of vibe. Because he's Daredevil, and so essentially he initially just kind of like stops and he calls the police. He calls 911, and the second that they say 911, what's your emergency? He just hangs up and he says, "Fuck it." And he suits up as Daredevil again, finally. I'm not trying to meme when I say this, because I've liked this season. We needed more Daredevil in this. He is not here till episode 6. That is kind of crazy. So, what happens here... excuse me. So, we don't know exactly how he finds Muse, but we cut to a scene with Muse where he takes the Ayla girl and he puts her on a table and he starts draining blood from her with this very dirty needle. Probably it's disgusting. That was what I was thinking, because needles freak me out. So whenever I see someone like get stabbed with this giant syringe, like I think he did it in her leg, I'm thinking to myself, that is not sanitary. I know it seems silly, but that's what I was thinking. I was like, that is so gross. She's probably gonna get sick now. um so first he injects her with something, I assume a sedative, and it looked like anyway. And then he injects her and starts draining blood, and kind of a lot starts coming out. And I'm like, oh god, are they actually going to kill her? There's no way. And but then Muse hears something like metal banging outside, and look, because he's in like a underground like train station type place. And when he walks outside to where the actual trains are, there's this really cool shot that happens where he keeps looking on in the distance, and you can see this shade of red in his eyes because of something. And and the guy just goes like, "What is that?" kind of thing. And then you see like this real brief, it's very tiny, you can't see it. I love the directing in this episode. It's real tiny, you can barely see it, but this like tiny black shadow that just keeps moving and moving. And then it gets bigger and you see it's Matt, and you're like, and so then it starts playing the theme like as loud as it can, and he shoots like his grapple thing and just like yanks himself towards Muse and just fucking beats the shit out of him. I love this scene. It is so good. It is some of the best fight scenes I've seen since Netflix Daredevil. That's what it reminded me of. Because he gets like 4 good licks in him before Muse even knows what's going on at this point. He does like he puts his whole body weight into a single punch that knocks him into the hallway and shit. And he does like 3-4 punches, grabs him up, fucking hits him again. I'm like, oh, sorry, I get excited about these. These are cool. And so whenever this happens, he gets 3-4 licks in before Muse even knows what the fuck's going on. And then he kicks him in the face, and he just falls to the ground. And Muse starts to get up. He's like, and he doesn't say anything. He doesn't speak the whole episode, but like, you get that he just now has kind of realized what the fuck he did. And the fight scene between him. Oh, and I meant to say this earlier, but the fight interjected with Kingpin and Adam is interjected with this, right? A lot of the editing is really cool. Like when Matt does a headbutt, it like cuts to Fist doing a headbutt, or no, other way around, I think. Kingpin does a headbutt, and then it like transitions immediately to Matt doing the same thing. It's very cool. The way this was edited was masterful. So for me, yeah, no, this was pretty cool. The fight scenes are fantastic. There's several times where Muse gets up and he tries to just kill the girl, and like Matt will like shoot his grapple thing out and like fuck up Muse's hand, and like yank him towards Matt, and like there's a scene where Matt just like screams. I keep saying Matt, sorry. I see him as a human character, so for me I call him Matt a lot. But Daredevil, like, just, oh, the fight is so good. I can't stress that enough. This is what I've been waiting for in this show, to be honest. Because I love the lawyer, like, court procedurals. I love the human story that tends to be told in this show and, the previous show. But, like, man, we needed more Daredevil than this. He's not in, aside from the first scene of the show, he is not in 5 of these episodes, which is kind of crazy. And so that's annoying. You do see fight scenes though. Like Matt does things, but like it's still just it's not as cool. Visually anyway. So basically it gets long and the short of it, he beats the absolute shit out of Muse and to the point where he's literally like hanging him. He's got like this thing wrapped around the guy's neck and he puts him like back here and he's like doing this, holding it down, and I'm like, "Oh my god, is he going to kill him?" He might. um And then once he hears his heartbeat slow down enough, he's like, okay. And then he lets him go. And I'm like, okay. And he runs over to try and save the girl, starts giving her, like, hoping that that'll help. And then he just kind of hits her real hard in the chest, and then it does work. And so she's okay. She gets up. First thing she sees, she's in shock. She's like, Daredevil? Kind of thing. There's no way she doesn't know this is Matt, by the way. He sounds the same. He, like... I guess him being blind does kind of throw a wrench in that theory for her, probably, but, like, I think that's why Matt gets away with it so much. But, like, I don't know, bro. I feel like it's kind of obvious. Like, you talk to Matt today about missing people, and you go missing, and the first thing that happens is you get saved by Daredevil, who just hasn't been around for a long time. Come on now. But no, this episode was incredible. I know this is a shorter video. I don't really have as much to say about it, really. It's good. So if I were to... And I'm glad they dropped 2 episodes, because I think if they just dropped episode 5, which is the bank robbery one, I don't think I'd be very happy. And so I'm going to make sure that I don't let my review of episode 6 that I'm about to give, which is a stellar one, to influence my opinions on episode 5, right? So for me, let's start with episode 5. Okay, so episode 5 is cool. It has a bank robbery one, but it doesn't move the story forward, doesn't move the plot forward. Kind of just feels like they just wanted to include another Marvel character from New York, and they couldn't necessarily justify having Kamala with her, like, stretchy powers in it, so that instead they put Kamala's dad, which was fun. I wasn't upset about it. It just was kind of weird. So I'd say as far as ratings go, I'd probably give it a 5. That sounds a little mean, but to me, a 5 is like average, right? So for me, this is an average episode of television. Doesn't do anything like particularly grand, but it doesn't do anything bad either. And I see some people disagree with me on that, but I don't see it. I think this episode feels incredibly out of place. None of the side characters are even in this one. It's just Matt. That's it. Like, it just feels really out of place. Like, that's what I'm saying, though. I think this episode was from the previous administration of this show, with like 1 or 2 reshoots for the fights being better. I really think that's it, because it feels so disconnected from everything else. Like, I don't even say this lightly. You honestly could just skip it if you want to. There's nothing that happens in it. I don't usually promote that kind of thing because I don't like just skipping episodes of a show, but like nothing happens in it. So yeah, I'd say that's a 5. Episode 6, however, I think I'm going with a 9. I know that seems kind of nuts, but I just think it did everything right. The editing, even the cinematography kind of seemed different than the rest. It kind of seemed more like the Netflix Daredevil, especially the fight with Muse, like in the underground. Like the color palette was different. The color grading, whatever you want to call it. Sorry. Seemed different. It was darker, more like had like a yellow tint to it a little bit, like old school Daredevil. Which I think was pretty cool. The fight's incredible. They only use CGI for like that one thing where he like flies himself towards him to punch him, but like other than that, no CG. It all looks good. The fight choreography is incredible, honestly, in this scene. That's kind of why I think that like from here on is mostly the new content. I really think so because it just feels different than what we've gotten so far. Like the first two episodes kind of feel like they're stitched together from like previous bits of footage that they have and some reshoots they put in. But like here it feels different and it really shows. It really shows. I'd say this episode is a 9 to be honest. The only reason it doesn't get a 10, I would probably say is I'm trying to think of why not to give it a 10. Uh I would just say I think the episode could have been a little bit longer. I know it seems silly, but like we don't see Matt as much as we do Kingpin in this episode, I don't think. I think that was a bit of a mistake. I think it would have been good to have a scene or two of maybe Matt like walking the streets, hearing people's heartbeats like racing because they're stressed, and and some of them are talking about the missing people. Like I wish you would just have pushed just a little more. I believe that Matt would take up the suit at this point. I do. I don't not believe that. It's just I think you could have added a couple scenes where he's like trying to fight this urge to just beat the living shit out of the man doing this out of like respect for Foggy and stuff. Um, Although you do get that a lot where he's like messing with that little like Daredevil horn that got broken off in the first episode, and he's just kind of like holding it all the time. So you know he's thinking about it without them telling us, which I think is good. I'm glad that they did that, but I just think a little bit more pushing would have been good. Make this episode just a little longer, but it really, honestly, it feels like a nitpick because this whole episode is great. It is great. It is fantastic. If you have not started watching this show, if you like Daredevil, the like Netflix series, at this point it is my wholehearted recommendation to watch it. Skip episode 5. Nothing happens. It's not really worth watching. It's not even bad. It's just not good either. It's just kind of there. So anyway, that's all I've got to say. I'm going to be doing a video next week where they're going to start dropping one episode again. Lame. But yeah, no, that's pretty much all I got to say. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I'm thrilled, honestly, with it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Drop a subscribe if you guys want to see more content. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say. Have a good night, guys.